Suppose you purchased 200 dozen eggs at the rate of rupees 18 per dozen from the wholesale market. You were planning to sell them at a price of rupees 23 per dozen in order to make a profit of rupees 1000. But while in transit, so while you were coming from the market back to your shop, 72 eggs are broken. Now at what price should you sell in order to make the same profit of rupees 1000? So here you know the quantity that you purchased. You also know the cost price, which is rupees 18 per dozen. You were originally planning to sell them at rupees 23 per dozen, and you are already given that you would be making a profit of rupees 1000. So let's see. So the quantity is 200 dozen. Your cost price is 18 rupees per dozen, and your selling price was supposed to be rupees 23 per dozen. So here the profit per dozen is the selling price per dozen minus the cost price per dozen, which is 23 minus 18, which is 5 per dozen, and the quantity is 200 dozen eggs. So rupees 5 per dozen. So for 200 dozen it will be 200 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 1000 rupees. So that is how you have this 1000 rupees here. So earlier you were planning to sell all the eggs, which is 200 dozen eggs, at a price of rupees 23 per dozen, which would give you a profit of rupees 1000. But while in transit, 72 eggs are broken. Now please note that this is in terms of number of eggs, while the original quantity is in terms of dozen. So 72 eggs are broken. So 72, if you want to express in terms of dozen, you divide 72 by 12, which will be equal to 6. So 6 dozen get broken on the way back. But you still want to make a profit of rupees 1000. So at what price? So now you are planning to have a selling price of rupees 23 per dozen earlier with 200 dozen eggs, which would give you a profit of 1000 rupees. You want to continue getting the same profit, which is rupees 1000, but now the quantity available has reduced. So now the quantity available is 200 minus 6 dozen, which is 194 dozen. But you want to continue to get the same final profit. So definitely one thing is clear, that you'll have to increase the selling price per dozen. Now we want to find out how much would be the selling price per dozen. So here the number of eggs available after transit is equal to 200 minus 6, which is equal to 194 dozen. Now the original cost price is equal to, so the quantity that you bought originally, which is 200 dozen, and you paid 18 rupees per dozen. So 200 multiplied by 18, so per dozen it was 18, so for 200 dozen it will be 200 multiplied by 18, which is equal to 18 twos are 36 and 2 zeros. Now on this cost price you want to make a profit of 1000 rupees. So basically your selling price will be equal to 4600 rupees after selling 194 dozen eggs. So this is the overall selling price. Now we want to find the per dozen selling price. So selling price per dozen will be equal to 4600. So 4600 is the selling price for 194 dozen eggs. So for 1 dozen egg, so let's see, 4600 rupees is for 194 dozen eggs. So for 1, how much is the price? Now we can do cross multiplication. So 1 multiplied by 4600 is equal to x multiplied by 194, and x is equal to 4600 by 194. So that's why we are putting selling price per dozen is 4600 divided by 194. This is our side calculation. So if we calculate 4600 divided by 194, we get the amount of 23.7 rupees. So selling price per dozen is equal to 23.7 rupees. Now let's see, the selling price that you were earlier planning to sell these eggs at was rupees 23 per dozen, but that was when you had more number of eggs, so you could afford a smaller margin to get the same amount of profit. However, now since your quantity has reduced to 194 dozen and you still want to continue with the same final overall profit, which is rupees 1000, you'll have to increase the selling price per dozen by some amount in order to get the same profit. So in this case, you reduce the quantity by 6 dozen and we had to increase the selling price by 0.7 per dozen. Or in other terms, we have a selling price of 23.7 rupees per dozen.